Greetings and peace. I hope you and yours are doing well today, wherever you might be watching this from. Now, the title of today's video is the concept of the Supreme Being in Freemasonry. This is a question that many individuals have, and myself as a Freemason, I would like to express my point of view. And talking in this video, I represent myself only. I represent myself under free speech as a free man. I represent no Grand Lodge statements, opinions, or any official stance on this subject. So here I would like to address these subjects and dedicate this to a brother who also shares the same sentiments as me on this subject. So all that being said out of the way, you have this concept of Almighty God, or the Grand Architect of the universe, in whichever way you perceive it, because Freemasonry is not a religious organization. It's not a substitute for a religion. It's a fraternity of good men that's there to build your character, help you self-improve, and basically help you foster your own personal connection with God. And that's the beauty, that you find all races and religions in Freemasonry. And you have the concept of the point within the circle, which is Almighty God, or the Grand Architect, and everything around it is a tapestry of different colors and patterns and philosophies and ways of life from all over the world, east and west, that take you to that same source. So you have one mountaintop, and you have many different paths that take you to that mountaintop. And even in Islam, from my perspective, we have the one ummah. The Prophet Muhammad tells you to become one ummah, one brotherhood. And it says in the Quran, in Surah 2, verse 62, that it doesn't matter what path you follow, whether you're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, as long as you believe in God and do the right thing, then on the day of judgment you shall have no grief. Same thing in Surah 49, that the believers are but one brotherhood. So all of this basically, in my own research, as you see in my channel, that not just Islam, but every other Eastern religion, philosophy, way of life, you could see Masonic principles in all of them, because Freemasonry is a universal brotherhood. And you notice that there's a little bit of each in Freemasonry's teachings that one can feel their personal connection to. So whether you're a Hindu, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, there's something out there for you. Even Zoroastrianism, the first monotheistic faith, I covered all of them. And I thank God he gave me the strength to do that. Now, it basically shows you that when you become a Freemason, you have to profess a belief in a supreme being. And that could be in your own way. So whatever helps you become a better person and close to God in your personal life, then that's what you associate that with. Keeping in mind that Freemasonry is a benevolent organization, there to ensure the welfare of humanity, of its members, of each other, and it's not malevolent in any way. Its tenets, its way of life, its practices, what it's teaching its members, there's nothing malevolent in any way, shape, or form. Now, this is a concern, the concept of as long as you believe in a higher power, then you're good. Now, this is a concern that I share with this brother who I dedicate this video to, that there are many who are falling into the trap of going outside into the aspects of the darkness. So Freemasonry's light, its benevolence, it's uplifting the fallen state of mankind. But then there are those that go into the aspects of darkness, saying that, okay, as long as I believe in something, then that's fine. But no, then in my opinion, then you're crossing that boundary of Freemasonry and are bringing in your own dark agenda. Because you have to realize it's oneness of God, benevolence, brotherhood, and goodness. It's about the goodness of mankind. So if your point of supreme being is believing in anything malevolent, but in your definition, as long as it fits the supreme being, it goes against the tenets of Freemasonry. So you have to realize that it's permitted to all, but as long as it's of a benevolent nature. That's the main thing about it. So you have to be careful in that aspect, where even right now what I see in the spiritual groups, that everyone's kind of promoting this aspect of becoming living gods and all this stuff that's basically dangerous, the do what thou wilt philosophy. So you have to realize that each action and each circumstance in your life does have consequences. I can't just go out here and do whatever I want. I can't just get in the car and go to the highway and drives 100 mile per hour because I'm a free man and I do what I want to do. No, I can't do that. I will get stopped and I will get checked by the people in charge. So there is a system that's there to keep everything in line. There's a certain criteria, a certain system that keeps society functioning in many ways. Some might not like it, but it's just the way that it is, because without rules then we become animals. So what I see is that it's the same sentiment that even George Washington had shared, that there were concepts, there are even letters out there that you really have to search for and find, that basically the aspects of the Masonic organization, that you have these agents of chaos that that try to infiltrate the organization from within. And that's the concern that was going back to the 1700s. He had written a letter to some higher up in Europe, and then there was a reverend he had written a letter to here in America. So you really got to search for those in terms of the concerns even George Washington had shared in terms of the Masonic organization being infiltrated, where they say that, okay, these guys at the bottom, they don't know anything, while everybody at the top, like the old guard in charge, they're not going to bring in any change. That's why the younger guys get frustrated and they're having issues trying to deal with this older guard that they have to deal with all over the world. So that's that same concept that applies today. That the higher, and there was a past master who had told me one time that the higher up you get, the more you see people's true faces. So that's what I'm trying to change in my life in terms of reforming the Masonic Brotherhood. Because I know what the true origins of this brotherhood. I know it's for the benefit of mankind and to uplift the fallen state of mankind. But it's like what I even described in my video about the social club Mason, the light Mason, the esoteric Mason, and the dark Mason. You will encounter those personalities. And a lot of them kind of, I guess, have their own interpretation of the Supreme Being and, how they want to view it. It's like even in religions, right? Even in the Islamic religion, it tells you in the Quran to be a Muslim and to believe in God, right? To surrender. That's what Islam is. To believe in the oneness of the divinity. But even you have Sunni, Shia, they're fighting with each other. Everyone's got their own perversion and interpretation. In other faiths, you have these different sects in Christianity. Everyone's kind of going through their own order and chaos. Because you have this internal struggle between light and dark that's not just limited to Freemasonry. I see it all over the world. But in all races, religions, organizations, countries, and groups of the world, I have seen this. But researching Freemasonry as much as I have, and all the videos that I made, all the people that I've spoken to, all the places that I went to, and everything that Almighty God has given me the privilege to do. Because it's my intent. It's your intent that matters most. That when you do become a Mason and you promise to God to be a better person, self-improve, and help those around you the best of your ability, anything malevolent or so-called higher power does not have a place in that intention, because then that goes against your principles. And that's the concerns that many have about no changes coming from the higher ups in terms of the next generation. And then you have these guys that are kind of professing their own new age stuff, which kind of leads you into a dangerous territory, like I said about the living God stuff. So, and the do what thou wilt stuff. So that's really not helping anybody in the end. In the aspect of Supreme Being and Freemasonry being a benevolent organization, you have to promote its true values. Promote its true values and fight against the conspiracy theory people out there that said these people are dark and malevolent, and then now you're allowing these people who are professing these things, but as long as they believe in a Supreme Being, that's not how it works. You got to stand on your principles. You got to love and respect everybody, like how I fought against racism and this different kinds of ignorance that I saw in the organization. I wrote my own book, I built my own channel, I produced my own content that others were not covering due to their cognitive dissonance and their biases and their different mindsets that they had that would challenge their beliefs. So you really got to open up to these things. You got to open up to it. And as a builder, if I did that, because a Mason is a builder, no matter how many times somebody tears you down or they don't do what you want to see, then you do it yourself. You build yourself back up. You build the content, leave something behind for the world, and you leave something better for everybody to benefit from. That's what it's actually about. Anything else, you're not helping anybody. You're still stuck in that same rut that I see these guys that come in and they serve the organization for 20 to 30 years and they try their best and nothing changes, and still the same guys at the top are making the decisions and nothing's going on, and the circle continues and continues and continues. So the young ones like myself who have made a promise to God to reform this brotherhood in the West, I will see this job through. I know this might take me the rest of my life, but I have a job to do and I will see it through. And to see that job through, you have to address these different aspects. That it's a benevolent organization. It's there to promote unity, brotherhood, justice, liberty. Where else in the world where I can come together, whether myself as a Muslim, Christian, Jew, black, white, we can sit together on a table of brotherhood and call each other brothers. And we are an example to mankind, that if we can do it, then you can do it too. So we have to follow that example and really be about who we're saying we are. Because if not, then look at it this way. It's like these guys that I've said. It doesn't matter what rank or title you are. I've seen the best and the worst out of all of them. You have the human nature that's still kind of prevalent, where they tell you to control your passions and desires. You have to. And you have to preserve the future of this fraternity. And you have to make sure that all of these things are not taken out of context, right? Where recently there was a post that I had seen in one of the Masonic Facebook groups, and you have the Knights Templar group as well, which is a part of Freemasonry in its own way, and a lot of them were having concerns about the aspects of the way that they describe God. So they were saying that there's something that doesn't seem right. So they have a conscience that's telling them that there is the aspect of being free, a free thinker, a free knower, a free doer. But as you have to stay in the boundaries of the benevolent organization and its ideals. If you allow anyone or anything to come in and profess and do what they want, that's why they tell you to guard the West Gate, right? So that's the aspect of doing the right thing, making sure everything is being done the right way. There's no racism. There's no religious discrimination. There's no evil being promoted. There are no conspiracies against mankind being hatched, or those that believe in beings like that hatch conspiracies against mankind. Then that's when you will save your organization. That's when you will save its integrity in the eyes of the public, who have God knows how many conspiracy stuff they've seen on the internet and online. And I'm part of that. I'm part of countering that. I'm part of countering that ignorance through my own education, videos, speaking engagements, and we have to do the right thing. We got to do the right thing. Don't look the other way. It's like when I was fighting against the racism, and a lot of these guys were saying, oh, we're the silent majority, we're with you. But why aren't you saying or doing anything? Your silence means that you're complicit. And I really went against it. It doesn't matter if I lost everything. I gained it back times 10. Because what does a Mason do? He trusts God, right? No matter what happens, he trusts God always. And then God is the one who gave me everything back times 10. I'm better, I'm stronger, I'm in a better position than I ever was. Why? Because I always chose to be on the side of justice. Not looking the other way or not compromising my Masonic ideals and values just because on the concept of being a free thinker. Because if you extend your hand out to somebody, right? It's like when you're in the spiritual path and you will have handlers and things like that you will have to deal with. That will try to get the best of you. But you must stay ideal on your focuses, on your ideals, on your values. That's when the concept of the Supreme Being is fruitful to your endeavor. You have to realize that. It's not to be taken as a joke. And that's the problem, that everything is kind of, the true education is not being taken seriously. I have so many people that email me all the time. They email me and saying that I'm seeing all of this stuff and they're not teaching me anything in the lodges, and what am I here to do? Am I just here to pay dues and deal with old men and not have any changes. So that's not how it works. You gotta bring that change, and that's what I'm encouraging through my endeavors, and what I encouraged a lot of these guys. That if you don't see what you like, then you do it yourself. You create that initiative. No matter who stands against you, who tries to plot against you, you do what's right always, no matter what happens. And that's when the fruits of your labor shall be given to you. And that's the beauty about this whole thing. And even in my experiences, I've spoken to people and individuals all over the world to clear ignorance, to clear the ignorance in my community. I mean, God knows how much misconception there was between Islam and Freemasonry and vice versa. And I became an ambassador and I cleared all that. But see, this is a problem when you see the concept of believing in a supreme being, and then you have these people that believe in the dark stuff that come in, oh, as long as we believe in something, right? That's their loophole. And then you're ruining it for people who are trying to clear up the image of Freemasonry in the eyes of the people. So you have to think about that too. Understand what I'm trying to tell you. Understand the things and feel it in your own intuition and your own conscience that it's a benevolent organization. It's fine. There's no religious or racial discrimination as long as you believe in God in your own way. That's fine. But what is the key word that I'm addressing here? That it's a benevolent organization. And anything that goes against that benevolence in whatever way, shape, or form does not have a place in the brotherhood. And this is my opinion. I represent myself only when I say this. Even you have these different letters out there. And even with George Washington, a few of George Washington's quotes, that the best ideal that I would like to have, or the best title that I would like to have, is the character of an honest man. Or that this brotherhood is there to basically promote the happiness of the human race. Then there's so many other quotes out there that show that the true Mason is even with Manly Palmer Hall, as so many people like to talk bad about him, but I'm sure they haven't produced the types of content and education and lectures like he has, excuse me. So, but they love to talk about him in a negative way that I've seen many do. But I would recommend that you look at all of these different teachers and the messages that they taught you in terms of the happiness of the human race, the unity of the human race, the benevolence of mankind, being a charitable individual to help those that can't help themselves, to fight for justice, fight for liberty, equality, fraternity, all of those values that make this brotherhood. And I've seen its value. Most people here in the West are limited to their small town lodge thinking because they've never seen anything outside of their lodges, let alone anything out of this country. I've been all over the world. I know the power and the benevolence of this brotherhood, and that's why I feel the same concerns as this other brother who believes that there are those that take the supreme being situation in a loophole and that you could believe whatever you want as long as you come in. No, that's not how it works. It has to be of a benevolent nature, right? Even the founding fathers, they were deists, but benevolence, right? It's about benevolence and not about anything evil or anything conspiracy against mankind. Because you have to clear, so many people are working hard to clear the misconceptions of Freemasonry in the eyes of the public. But when you allow this, then you're kind of adding fuel to the fire. So you have to take charge of your brotherhood, of your lodges, of your own individual Masonic journeys, and do the right thing. Do the right thing. And stand up against those that are not professing Masonic values, whether it's religious bigotry, racial bigotry, or if they have their own dark agendas or beliefs, or what I call the agents of chaos. Even George Washington had expressed that concern about the organization being infiltrated. Then you identify them and speak out against them, like I did, even in previous videos about Dark Masons. You gotta identify who's who, what's what, who, what, where, and why. That's when you turn things around and fix things. So again, to be a Freemason, you have to believe in a supreme being, right? And it's an organization that's there to promote unity, brotherhood, equality, liberty, fraternity, all of those great things. So it's contradictory, right? If anything of a malevolent nature tries to come into that field or into that circle, it goes against that original principle. So don't just let the concept or the loophole, oh, as long as they believe in something, even if it's their own self, a piece of paper or a leaf or whatever. No, that's when you kind of go against the grain. And that's when we have to know where is it that the organization needs help in terms of the education, understanding, and not letting anything dark destroy your image or to basically bring the reputation of your fraternity down. Because the Freemasonry is such a beautiful organization that its future and its reputation should be in the constant care of its members, especially now in the post-2020 world. So if we're not going to take those things seriously, you just kind of like have this like carefree, loose attitude and not going to do anything about the concerns that you see, the issues that you see, and kind of let everybody in who's kind of goes against the principles, then you're going to be the architects of your own destruction. Either you're going to be the architects of your own future, which I'm fighting for because I know its true value and what it's capable of and its true benevolent nature, or the agents of chaos that have their own agendas. And the aspect of the dark and light Mason that I pointed out in a previous video you could look up on my channel I made a few months ago. So think about these things. That the concept of a supreme being is the goodness of mankind, the goodness of God in whichever way you perceive it. And you use that brotherhood and those teachings to improve yourself and improve the world around you. And anything malevolent that tries to enter that field, but as long as they try to use that loophole of the supreme being, that as long as I believe in a higher power, even though it's malevolent, that goes against the principles of Freemasonry. And I wanted to use this video to address that. So I'm past 20 minutes here. I know most of my videos, especially Masonic education videos, go past 30 minutes to an hour plus. But this I wanted to keep it at an appropriate length since I dedicated it to the brother who shared the same sentiments as me. And also to put this out there. And again, I represent myself only as a free man under free speech, and I represent no grand lodge statements, opinions, or official statements of any Masonic authority. I sharing my own concerns about what is true Freemasonry, concept of God and the Supreme Being, one and the same, and why we must preserve its benevolent future. So thank you again for watching. I pray the rest of this August and rest of this summer and fall ahead and the rest of this year ahead goes great for you and your families with blessings, love, peace, and prosperity. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you in whichever way you perceive it of a benevolent nature. Thank you.